This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Well, it's Pendulum Day. This half hour brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, light, business, boat, motorcycle, RV, and don't forget Medicare. Medicare open enrollment period's coming up. And I think having Purdy Insurance and a guy like Steve Engel behind you makes a big difference. They'll do everything they can to save you money while making sure you're fully insured, all at Purdy Insurance. Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. It is Pendulum Day. We'll get the rantings and ravings of Matt Catrillo and then the calm, analytic voice of Neil Coulon. I think it's the best way to put it, don't you?
I guess that puts me somewhere in between.
You make sense to me all the time. So.
Don't ask my wife that question.
No. We don't. We try not to ask any wives any questions. It's like, okay, I got it. It's like, it just seems safer that way. Because you and I aren't going to turn out well.
No.
The suit thinks he's turning out great.
She knows he has enough problems in his life.
Ooh, brutal. Hey, but when we get to Thursday, Shikellami's, 3-1 now?
Yep.
How about that? And then Selinsgrove got a big win.
They did.
Which is great for them. They went on the road to Central Mountain and won. What game were you at?
I was at Jersey Shore and Shamokin.
What'd you think of it?
It was 43-42 in double overtime.
Jeez. See, Harrisburg and State College had a game like that.
Oh, yeah?
Harrisburg built up. This is 2 weeks ago. The State College won at Cumberland Valley this week. 2 weeks ago, they're playing at Memorial Field. Harrisburg had a big lead. State College came all the way back and tied it. And then Harrisburg won the game in double overtime, 48-45. Yay.
Well, actually, Shamokin was down 21-7 at the half because for some reason they had Butterfingers for most of the first half.
Yeah.
And then ended up tying it late and then went for two at the end of the second overtime. And got it.
Wow. Did everybody on the high school field understand that when the ball bounces on the ground, you have to field it on a kickoff?
They did.
It's amazing. Mm-hmm. High school kid gets it. It's like, what? I mean, that's something Neil and I will talk about what are we doing here? Did you see Sean Clifford sign with the Cincinnati Bengals?
I did not.
Yes. With Joe Burrow now out 3 months, the Bengals signed Sean Clifford and Mike White. Jake Browning's the starting quarterback. And, it's I'm thrilled for Sean because I shot Sean 2 weeks ago, whatever, and I said, yeah, I said, I assume you're staying ready in case something happens. He goes, absolutely, because at that point he had been released by Green Bay. And you look at how this season is playing out. Jaden Daniels, in all likelihood, it looks like he is very iffy for the game coming up this weekend. Joe Burrow's out 3 months. J.J. McCarthy won't be able to play this weekend. Justin Fields is a maybe at best. Well,
do you mean injury-wise or just in general?
Well, I meant injury-wise. Well, I'll let you answer the phone. Sounds like the Magic Man is here. We'll come back. More in a moment. Brought to you by Purdy Insurance on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Hi, this is Season. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855. Visit our website at purdyinsurance.com or check us out on Facebook to see what we can do for you.
Relaxed, rejuvenated, and refreshed. It's like an oasis at Nottingham Village Senior Living Community in Northumberland. You'll enjoy a highly maintained 100-acre campus with gorgeous views of the valley in a serene environment. They have a host of modern amenities within a beautiful country setting. Nottingham Village offers maintenance-free living in their country houses, personal care, and independent living apartments in their retirement center. For those needing a higher level of care, they offer skilled nursing. And for your loved ones with memory problems, Heather Court offers a safe and secure neighborhood apartment lifestyle. Medical, dental, therapy, and pharmacy services are all available on campus. Let the dedicated staff at Nottingham Village care for you or your loved ones with excellence to promote a life of well-being safely and securely. Call Al Seidel today at 570-473-8366 for a complete list of services, dining options, and much more. Or visit online at nottinghamvillage.com. Nottingham Village, your oasis during unsettled times.
All right, let's get to it. He's here. And what's on your mind today?
Oh, Steve Jones, lots of things after another wild football weekend, especially in the NFL and especially pertaining to the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles.
To be honest with you, I wouldn't feel good about that because a bad call determined the outcome of the game. So, I mean, that's bothersome to me. The Eagles made a great stand. Where Kelsey, he should catch that ball, does not. But the reaction by the defensive back is tremendous. Boom. And then the run back was outstanding. Then they march it down. They don't score on the 3rd and 1 tush push. And I don't blame Nick for wanting to challenge it. The problem is you can't see the ball, so you can't overturn it. But on 4th down, they left early. Like, you're watching live like, wow, boy, they all left early. And no flag. And then you look at the replay, and they really left early. They should have been back to the 6-yard line kicking a field goal. Chiefs scored a touchdown after that. That would have been a 17-16 loss. I mean, they got away with a bad call to win the game. Now, in the end, is it going to matter because the NFL is about wins and losses? Yeah. But if I'm an Eagles fan, I'm sitting there like going, I'm not quite so sure how great we played.
Well, a couple of things to that. One, with the tush push, you're right. I mean, that was a blatant missed call. There's no question there. But the one thing I have to say, and this is more reacting to Dean Blandino's comments saying that he's tired of the tush push because it's an impossible play to officiate. To some extent, I get it, but we're talking about basics here in terms of that play in general. And the play that he was talking about before was an offside call against Kansas City, I believe, at that point in the game. Yeah. When we're talking about guys starting early, guys lining up offside, things like that, and this was a problem last year too with the play, is we're talking about basics here. It's just you're either offside or you're not. You line up in the neutral zone if you're not, and you're not.
Right.
And if you start early or not, then that's the call. I mean that happens with any other play. So to blame the play itself for the simple part of officiating is where I have a problem with it. But they missed it completely on fourth down, no question.
It's the fact that I think the problem that you have with officials on the play right now is they're concentrating so much on the defense moving early that they miss the Eagles moving early. And I think
that is a fair point, because that was the problem last year, was the defense lining in the neutral zone, which they called early in the game, and what happened last year. There's no question. Yeah, I think that's a very fair point.
Or what happened with Washington. Washington made a mockery of it last year in the NFC Championship game. It was embarrassing. But on that play, and you're talking about a game that at this point is a one-possession game, and that was blatant. They left early and got away with it. Now, I think the Eagles play beautiful defense. And you've got to get a little lucky, because Kelsey doesn't usually not bring that ball in. Now, whether he scores or not, I don't know. I think it was at the 1 yard line. But it's a tip drill play, and the kid makes a nice reaction on the tip drill and then makes a terrific return. All right. So
that's Andrew Makuba, the Eagles' second-round pick.
Yeah,
and I've been advocating for him, Steve, to start over Sidney Brown right from the get-go, especially after the game he had in the second preseason game against Cleveland, where he had the pick six and he had the fumble recovery. This kid can play. I'm really excited about him, and he's made an impact early.
Right. But see, again, that's why I always tell everybody, you try to do your analysis in a fair way. If they're going to be people go, oh, he's talking about the tush push and they're offsides. Excuse me, how many times every time I brought this up have I talked about the great play the Eagles made to get down there defensively? I always set it up with that first, because I'm praising what the Eagles did, but then at the end, that's a clear, blatant miss by the officials. And again, the one part we won't know is at 4th and goal at about the 5.5, maybe the 6, I'm not so sure they kick there. I mean, Nick Sirianni may go for it there, for all we know. I don't know. It's one thing with him, there's that level of you're not quite sure, but that was a blatant miss by the officials on that play. And you're like, come on, guys, you have to be better than that, and that is not reviewable, nor do I want it reviewable. I do not want that reviewed. I don't. All right, but it's a blatant miss by the officials, especially when they have two guys specifically on each side of the line of scrimmage, on each side looking at it, and they didn't see it at all.
Absolutely, yeah. We don't need to go that far into reviewing false starts and offsides, because then we'd be there all day. I'm totally with you there. But and this is why I also have a problem with them missing the call and just having these problems that we had even last year that we're talking about. It's because you're just adding more fuel to the fire.
Right.
Of everybody wanting to get rid of the play. Now, it just ultimately didn't happen last year, but you're adding fuel to the fire for next offseason, when this inevitably will come up yet again, probably for another vote, when a different team probably tries to get rid of it.
But here's my issue with them trying to get rid of it. The Eagles are the only ones that run it well.
Exactly. Again, look at Buffalo last year. We talked about this last year.
Buffalo this
year.
Buffalo
tried to run it a few times, and it's not nearly as flawless as the Eagles run it. It's 100% correct.
Buffalo's been trying to run it this year. They did it against the Ravens. And that's a good offensive line, by the way. Connor McGovern, Deion Dawkins. They've got some players up front, and they can't run it the same way Philadelphia does. And Kansas City, ever since Patrick Mahomes got hurt at Cleveland years ago on a quarterback sneak, they haven't run a quarterback sneak with him since. I mean, most teams don't even run it, and those that try to run it don't execute it well. Philadelphia is just exponentially better, and they're the only ones that actually run it right.
There it is. But I'm sure it'll be on its deathbed again next year, and we'll see if it gets revived or not next season. But at least it's here to stay for right now. But the main point here is the officials. Just let's get the simple stuff right before we talk about everything else, because if you're not getting the simple stuff right, then you're just going to be adding fuel to the fire. So that's my thoughts there on where we stand now with Tush Push. But as for the offense,
Yeah.
As for the offense for the Eagles,
I do say that all the time, though.
I'm not ready to go there yet as far as having concerns, because week one was week one, but still obviously wasn't great. Last week, I just think Kansas City just had a really good game plan. But if it happens again next week against a pretty good defense in the Rams, then we might start to have some conversations about where the offense stands and the passing game and whatnot. Yeah. But overall, though, the Eagles do kind of remind me, and somebody on ESPN said this. I think it was Devin McCourty that said it, that the way the Eagles have won these first two games kind of remind me of what the Chiefs were a couple of years ago, where maybe on talent they weren't as good as when they won in Super Bowl 54, their first one, but they still were really good at finding ways to win. That's kind of where I see the Eagles are right now. But again, we're only talking about their two games. Yeah. And I would like to see the offense get better, especially with throwing the ball downfield. There's no question there. They have to get more targets to A.J. Brown as well. I think also having no Dallas Goedert last week hurt a little bit. Though I do question that to some degree, too, because the Eagles used Brant Calcaterra, the number 2 tight end, a lot last year in the passing game, and they had success. Why they didn't target the middle of the field or him at all yesterday or 2 days ago, that I don't understand either. So I'm not ready to panic yet, but we'll see what happens after the Rams game next week.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to really have a feel for anybody in the NFL till we get to mid-October. I have no idea who's really good or really bad yet. Because I just think that there was so little done in the preseason. Everybody is going through a feeling out process. Look at Detroit. First week against Green Bay, they didn't play well at all. Next week against the Bears, they ran them out of the building. I mean, I don't think anybody can tell yet. Hey, by the way, I thought both the Yankee hits were pretty impressive last night.
Hey, listen, I'm just happy they won 2 out of 3. But in terms of, am I on the bandwagon thinking they're going to turn things around like the New York media was a couple of weeks ago before these 4 series? No. Because, as I said, even if they had a winning record, if it was one game above 500, which it is after this 4-series stretch, then I'm not going anywhere. So, and as far as the division goes, you can kiss that goodbye, especially when you lose to Minnesota the way they did last night.
Well, I'm
still not anywhere with the Yankees and thinking they will be a one-and-done team in the postseason.
I mean, the Yankees have played 52 games. I think 73 of them have been against Colorado, the White Sox, and the Twins. Every time I turn around, that's who they're playing. I don't get it. I mean, something about this schedule I don't know about?
Hey, you're asking the wrong guy. I mean, I'll just watch, but I've been kind of thinking the same thing myself.
They are playing better. Here's going to be the issue for them in all seriousness, all kidding aside. I think it's great that they hit the home runs because, as Earl Weaver always talked about, the 3-run homer. But the Yankees are getting 51% of their offense from the home run. In a postseason series against what should be better pitching staffs, I don't know if you can live on 51% of your offense being from home runs.
No, you definitely can. That's the problem I've always had with this team. There's not enough depth, and there's just up and down the lineup and on the bench. And, there's too much power hitting, and there's no small ball. And also, too, they still don't run the bases that well. And especially when you're in a 3-game series like the wild card series, it's hard to win that way. And it's unsustainable to win that way. So, no question. They have to find other ways to generate offense besides the long ball.
See, I think the Phillies have found different ways to do that, not just hit the long ball. And I think to their credit down the stretch, they're playing really well. They clinched the division last night. And now they're going to, so they're in. They and Milwaukee are the first 2 that are officially in. A brilliant segment by you. Just enough hate to really have people feel good about it. Were your kids excited about the Eagles win on the Sunday?
Oh, always, of course. We're in our jerseys. We're yelling at the TV. It's always fun.
Do they have any idea who's playing?
Kind of. They just know the Eagles are playing. We're still working on the other NFL teams yet.
And that they won so they can eat this week.
Yeah, boy, I'll tell you, that week the Eagles lost and you refused to feed them, Lisa got mad.
Just a little.
A little? What are you doing? All right, Matt, be good. Who do you have for this week?
All right.
Who do you have this week?
Lewisburg and Warrior Run should be an interesting game this week.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Great to be with you. Brought to you by Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury. The beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews. The best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and out every day. 6 great flavors of slushies. And ready-to-drink cocktails. High Noon, Jack Daniel's, Crown Royal. Is all and the pickle bar led by the Barrels and the Dills, indeed second to none. All at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. All right.
I think Diego Pavia knows he's not going to play in the NFL.
Really?
He's petitioning for a 7th year of eligibility.
He ain't going to get it.
I just saw that, though. I was laughing.
I know. Is it possible he gets it? Sure. But, I mean, there's, after a while, there's only so many loopholes, which is what he's done to this point. It's been all loopholes. At some point, I think what's going to happen is this. I think there is a good chance that the NCAA says 5 years, and you can do whatever you want in 5 years, but you get 5 years and 5 years only. No extra years, anything like that. But you got 5 years to play 5 years. And if it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, we feel awful about it, but that's just my opinion. I may be wrong on that, but I'm getting a feeling there's more of a lean toward doing that right now.
Well, I mean, if there's no eligibility rules in college, then essentially it just becomes a minor league. Right.
Well, I mean, you're going to get paid, and he knows this is the only way he's getting paid, by the way. Okay, to your point, you are exactly right, Todd. He understands that this is, now, he may make a practice squad, but it's not going to go further than that. Okay? So he's trying to maximize this experience as far as he can, because this is his ticket financially in the short term.
And probably a long term, unless he ends up with like an engineering degree from Vanderbilt or something.
Sure. I have no idea what his major is. I
think the bigger question is, does he?
Oh. It's an excellent question. So, told the guys about. I made a restaurant reservation in Los Angeles. I did it now because you don't want to do it the week of. It's L.A., for example, on a Friday night. So, according to The Athletic, an average of 16.1 FBS head coaches leave during each season due to firings or resignations or some combination thereof. That doesn't count coaches who get fired in March or whatever for recruiting violations. Okay. Announcements of these departures usually begin around week 5. Though during these years, they've started as early as week 2. Scott Frost, Randy Edsall, June Jones at SMU. We all know about Lane Kiffin, USC, week 5. But there's an interesting name out there. Because there's a lot of talk about Danton Lynn maybe leaving USC to go back to UCLA to be the head coach. Not now. Wouldn't be until after the season. But Ryan Silverfield is a candidate at Virginia Tech. I know Shane Beamer has a lifelong affiliation with Virginia Tech because of his dad. But what's the better job? What he's doing at South Carolina, where it's really starting to establish itself, or going there and starting over again?
And didn't add in the pressure of being, the son of a legend at that place.
Oh yeah, I know.
I mean, I was reading along the same lines, and I did not realize South Carolina put a bunch of money the last 2 years into the program as well.
I know.
I'd rather be in the SEC. I'd rather be a mid-level SEC team than a mid-level ACC team, as you would too, I would assume.
Yeah, and look at last year. Would they end up 9-3 in the regular season? And they finished, I think it was 14th in the final college football playoff polls. They were just on the outside looking in. That tells me that, they're doing well. And that's a program that has been built. So we'll see.
I mean, you know this. There's only 2 conferences you're going to be able to survive 3 losses in, and that's the Big Ten and the SEC.
Yeah, the only 2. Yep, you get 3 losses in the ACC, which is where Virginia Tech is, or the Big 12. You have no chance. Like none. Okay, unless you go 0-3 in the non-con, win every game in your conference, or I guess in the ACC you'd have to be 1-3. So you go 1-3 in the non-con, win every game in the conference, then win the conference championship game, you get in.
And let's be honest, Clemson has 2 losses now. I guess they survived it last year by winning the tournament, winning the ACC, winning the conference championship game, but their backs against the wall with 2 losses in the ACC, and I feel like if they were Big Ten or SEC, there's enough wins, obviously, later in the schedule for those teams that have 2 losses that they'd have a shot. I mean, they're going to have to win out and win the ACC championship game to get in.
Right. I think so, too. I think they're at that point, which means they have to win enough games to put themselves into the conference championship game.
That's because that FSU game isn't as easy as it was last year either.
No, it is not. So, I don't know. Yeah, that's. I mean, they're in deep trouble. There's no getting around it. But this goes back to what I was talking about yesterday. Something that does not come up. And look, you and I think you and I talk about things on this show that nobody else talks about. I feel like everyone, like, how come more people don't talk about this? All right. I say that about a lot of topics we discuss on this show, and this is one I've discussed before and I brought up yesterday. But there's always this idea that you that there's such a carryover from one year to the next, and there just isn't. Teams change, and and again, one of the things that you have to do in this job that I think is really important is listen. Listen to people who have been there, done it, been around the block. And the person I get this from is from Russ Rose. And I talked to Russ about this. And Russ always told me, he says, Steve, they won 4 straight national titles at one point in the early 2000s. 3 of them were with Alicia Glass as the setter, right? Megan Hodge as the hitter, and it was a really well-rounded team. All right. And they won 3 straight. He said, but Steve, the 4th one was with almost all new personnel. He says, I had to sit down with them every year and tell them, he says, last year guarantees you nothing. He said, you are starting at the same spot you started last year. No wins, no losses. That you have to establish your own identity. You have to establish your own rhythm. You have to have your own personality because the personality of the team changes. Now, back then, it was seniors leave, freshmen come in. Now it's even more so because it's not just seniors leaving and freshmen coming in. It's seniors leaving, freshmen coming in, people entering the transfer portal, and people you get in the portal. So you have a different automatic locker room personality to begin with. And in some cases, it might be better. And in some cases, it might be worse. You don't know until you start going through it as a team in practice, and then you start going through it as a team in matches or games. And you look at this particular year, Clemson, they come in, admittedly, the opening part of the schedule includes a conference game at Georgia Tech, whom I think is very good, and I think Haynes King is terrific. My only issue with Haynes King is he takes a lot of hits as a quarterback, but boy, he sure is tough. And, of course, the LSU game. The LSU game, I can see, hey, look, that's a 50-50 game. That goes one way or the other. I can see that. But the Troy game isn't. Troy game's not a 50-50 game. And they had to come from behind in the 4th quarter to win that game. And they're supposed to have had all this carryover from last year to this year. But I think some things have carried over. And that is when they venture outside of their conference. Now, Georgia Tech was a conference game. They venture outside of their conference, they struggle. Got them last year. Georgia clobbered them in the opening game last year. Right? LSU beat him this year. But they didn't get that positive carryover. Hey, we feel great about ourselves. We're good. And they're playing at home and the whole deal and didn't win. Notre Dame has played a tough opening schedule. At Miami, tough game. Texas A&M at home, tough game. But they played Texas A&M last year and beat them down in College Station. Right now, the heat is on Chris Ash, the former Rutgers head coach, former Ohio State defensive coordinator, because he's the DC right now. And what they give up, 41 points, 42 points?
I'm not sure it was the 42 points. It was the Texas A&M receivers were running wide open the entire game.
Yeah. I mean, that is that is an issue because Notre Dame last year built itself on two primary premises: excellent defense and a terrific running game, which included, by the way, Riley Leonard at quarterback. C.J. Carr is a different type of quarterback. And by the way, I think is going to be very, very good. No getting around it. You can see so many signs in him like, oh, okay, you know what? He's got something to him. All right. But you still have the two corners, Leonard Moore and Christian Gray, are still there. And other parts have changed on that team. Schuler's still there. But right now, you look at how they played against Miami and Texas A&M defensively, they didn't play well in either game. They did not play well in either game defensively. Offensively against Miami in the second half, they showed some signs. Offensively in this game, they did some really good things. I mean, they scored 40 points themselves in the game. So you're not going to look at the offense. Now, I realize that, you know, they'll sit back and say, look, it's a botched extra point. You know, they cost them. And that
say that hold was pretty egregious on the game-winning play, too.
By...
Oh, if you look at the middle of the field, the Texas A&M lineman just drugged down the Notre Dame defensive lineman right before he got his hands on on the quarterback.
Okay, yeah. I did. I saw that. Yeah, you're right. I saw that. That was a bad play, bad call by them, bad miss by them. Because you're right, he did drag him down. But. It's not. I realize that you can look at the fact that he dropped the snap, right? Or never really had it, and it's a 1-point game. But geez, you still gave up a touchdown and an extra point, regardless of the call. I mean, Texas A&M went down the field and scored. Like, okay, and that's an issue. So. There's no carryover from last year to this year for them. And I just, there's no carryover for Alabama from last year. They finished up down the stretch. They put themselves in a position to be in the college football playoff. Then, of course, Michigan beat them in the bowl game. But, like, okay. Like, these teams are different. We've assumed a lot of carryover from one year to the next and haven't had it. Texas, carryover 1 year to the next, the whole thing. I'll say this, so far to this point, you can now see why Quinn Ewers has been the starting quarterback. It doesn't mean Arch Manning isn't going to turn it around and play great. He certainly can do that. You can see he's got some terrific natural talent, and you can see he's smart out there. He just hasn't put it together yet. But now you see why Quinn Ewers was the starter.
I do wonder if he's, for lack of a better way to put it, too smart. I don't know if you saw his quotes where he said it's more mental than physical. And I guess my point being that, you don't want them to think too much out there. You just want it to let it flow. And I would just wonder if that's his issue, is he's having, he's a little too smart and he's having a little bit of problems letting it flow a little bit.
Well, first of all, that's an accusation that's never been made on this show.
Well, that's true.
Okay. Jones, he's too smart. Never heard that in my life. Okay. Sue, on the other hand, what do you think?
We'll go nice and say yes.
Sure. But it's, again, I think because there's so much talk in the off season. I mean, a lot of talk in the off season, because that's all we have to do is talk, right? That's all we have to do is talk over and over again. And so you're like, oh, they get this back and that back and this back, and okay, that guy's missing and this guy's missing. It isn't until you start playing games where you really figure out what you have and what you don't have. And you start to find out what you actually did lose. Maybe you lost some leadership. Maybe you lost a spot where, like, you were winning in a matchup before against certain teams. You're not winning that matchup anymore, and it's killing you. There's so many things. Right? Assumption season is over. I mean, now you have an idea as to what people have and what they don't have. So, even on the high school level, look at Shikellamy. We could talk about what they couldn't do in the offseason. They're 3-1 to start. Guess what? They're showing they're a pretty good football team. Now, does it mean they're over the last 6 games how it's going to play out? I don't know. But you know what? 3-1, that's the kind of start they should be jumping up and down about. And we only know because they played the games. You find out what you have and what you don't have. I mean, the personalities of these teams all change. The Eagles are the best team. The Eagles very well may be the best team. But they're also a different team than what they were. Because certain people aren't there anymore. New people have come in. Okay. So the personality change. And you may be better in some spots as to who came in. And you also may be losing a matchup that you were winning before because personnel changed. You just don't know until they play. And I've talked about that many, many times. And I know for the most part it goes in one ear and out the other. I got that part. I understand that. Okay. But it's a fact. And I never really had thought a lot about it until about, this is like 20 years ago. Russ and I were talking about this. And the conversation stuck with me because it made sense. It made sense. Unlike our staff meetings. What are you laughing about? No. Maybe
it makes sense to somebody, just not us.
Oh, God. You got that right. You got that right. It makes sense to somebody. We can debate whether it's us or not. All right. We'll take a break. Neil Coulong, voice of reason, next half hour here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
September means the return of football, everything pumpkin spice, and the September Serrano sale at Sunbury Motors Kia.
I wanna see ya in a Kia. Sunbury Motors Kia.
That's right, the September Serrano sale is on, and SMC has 10 2025 Kia Serrano turbo models with $1,000 in Kia Finance bonus cash and as low as 0% APR financing for 48 months. The 2025 Kia Serrano hybrids have as low as 0.9% APR for 48 months with an additional $500 in Kia Finance bonus cash. And Sunbury Motors Kia has 2025 Kia Serrano S all-wheel drive models starting at just over $35,000. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. It's a September to remember. The September Serrano sale at Sunbury Motors Kia on the Strip in Hummel's Wharf and at sunburymotorskia.com.